glad you stayed with us for this dynamic hour of conversation with President of Tri-C, that would be Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton. And joining us now at the table is Beth Rukowski, who is, I called you CEO before, which works
I like
for me.
The promotion.
Yes, Executive Director of the Tri-C Jazz Fest, which is an historic program that has been going on in Tri-C for quite a while. How long has it been a major component of Tri-C's offerings?
We are entering our 32nd year, if you can
My
believe
word.
it. The Tri-C Jazz Fest is one of the longest continually running festivals that's dedicated to jazz in the whole country. So we have a national reputation, we have an international reputation, and that's because of a lot of different things. The longevity makes a big difference, but also the commitment that this college has and the leadership, like Dr. Thornton, that they have for furthering jazz as an American art form.
Which I grew up on. I'm back from the days of Duke Ellington and Ella and Count Basie, and that's my era.
Well, we all love the big band sound.
Yes.
Even our young students who are still in high school, they are still learning that music so that they can continue to grow in not only the big band era, but the full array of jazz music.
Which now also has fused, you know, a little bit more of hip hop and blues and you know, gospel, so that it kind of it's one of those kind of genre that lends itself to reaching out to folks of all types. Yeah,
absolutely. And the Jazz Fest was founded on the music of the era 32 years ago, but it also was always about growing and about educating, because it was housed at a college, so that's a natural fit. Everything that we do has some kind of an educational component.
Sure.
So while our students who are at Tri-C, who are very, very talented, amazing students, and they go on, a lot of them go on to four-year institutions like Juilliard, Berklee College of Music, Manhattan School of Music. They participate in our Jazz Fest, but also we give the opportunity for high schools and middle schools and other colleges in the area to come and be a part of the Jazz Fest in an educational way. And we really do it in a very unique, forward-thinking way that gets them not only to play themselves and to get workshops and clinics themselves, but then they get to hear amazing musicians from all over the world.
And especially since many school districts, including our own, music is not of major importance to help. I'm an old educator, so I believe in the holistic approach that youngsters don't have the same opportunities like we did in terms of music being incorporated into the, you know, the daily schools.
And there's so much talent in Cleveland. It's just amazing when you think of the people who have gone on from Cleveland to really achieve and to make a name for themselves, whether it's in music or theater. And so we have a real richness here of talent. And our concern and Beth's concern is not to let those students get away from us without the opportunity.
That you just hit on, yes, something about, it sure would be nice if we got to be the location in the nation where people didn't leave from with their talent and that they stayed here or returned. So tell us a little bit, how in the world did Jazz Fest begin 32 years ago? Like I was asking Dr. Thornton about, were three brains sitting around a table one day and said, what do we do next?
Well, it began with one of the faculty members here. Professor Tom Horning had the idea to begin with. He was teaching music here, but there wasn't a jazz studies program per se at the time. But he saw the connection between the performances of great jazz musicians and educating the students and giving them that first-hand experience. So in 1980, that was the first Jazz Fest that ever came about. It was 2 days. It had some educational activities during the day, and then it had two concerts on 2 different evenings. It was basically over the course of about a weekend. And now 32 years later, we've grown. It's a 2-week festival for sure. We spend at least 11, 12 days of continuous experiences and concerts and, as I said, educational experiences. We do major concerts out at Playhouse Square in the big, beautiful theaters there, and we do smaller, more community-oriented concerts in a lot of the libraries, some of the churches. So there's something for everyone at the Jazz Fest over the 11 days.
And some of it is for free. Not everything has an admission fee to it.
That's correct. That is correct. And especially, I always tell people that if you really want to experience the Jazz Fest and you want to do something every single day, you can do something every every single day and do most of it, something every day for free, because they're clinics and workshops and
Sure.
all those things. They may be geared towards students, but they're definitely open to the public. And we have a lot of musicians that are based here in Cleveland who come and participate in the workshops. So it's a fantastic experience. It's really grown. And again, it's the commitment of the leadership here at the college that has said, this is an important thing for the community. It's important for the college, but it's a way to give back to the community, something that's important. And it really has just become an anchor as an event in Cleveland and in Cuyahoga County.
And being, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that, as you said a little earlier, the Jazz Fest used to be pretty exclusively jazz. But because people appreciate all kinds of contemporary music, Beth really has broadened her scheduling of artists and the types of music, and we're exposing our audience to blues, to hip-hop, to reggae, to all music forms. And it's really
and classical, because jazz and classical, I've seen what that fusion can do. I mean, and it's so uplifting, because I'm a music nut. Okay, yeah, among other things, yes. Okay, so now we know that to get the Tri-C Jazz Fest planned and organized and implemented takes a long time. Now the next one will probably be April of 2011.
That's right.
And have you started lining up some of your local and national and international artists that we can tease the public with yet?
Well,
Or is it still under wraps?
It's still a little bit under wraps.
Okay.
We like to do a lineup announcement. We usually make that announcement sometime toward December, January, where it comes out in the Plain Dealer, and we talk about the whole lineup. But we're definitely working. It takes a long time and a lot of planning. We will, over the course of the 2 weeks, bring in and work with about 100 different musicians. That's an exciting thing. We love to talk about the great history that we've had. Just in the last several years, we've had artists like Tony Bennett. We've had Dave Brubeck. He was here with us just 2 years ago.
And I grew up with him as a kid too.
Last year, we had Ramsey Lewis.
Him too, in
Amazing
college,
pianist.
yes.
Yeah, just a lot of fun. We also brought in last year, as Dr. Thornton was saying, we do branch out. We are trying to capture new audiences, bringing them in with the music that they are interested in, and show them the connection between that and jazz. So we brought in a group called The Roots, which is best known as a hip-hop group, but they use live musicians on stage. They put on quite a show, and we had very young audience, very up and moving and dancing, and so it was great. It was a good stretch for us, and I think that a lot of the younger people who were at that concert said, hey, this is the Jazz Fest, I've never been, my mom goes to Jazz Fest, but they loved it, and they got to experience what the Tri-C Jazz Fest was for them.
But just to give you a few other names, Natalie Cole,
Yes.
Nancy Wilson, George Benson.
I missed that last time that she was here. We tried very hard to get her to the show, and she was going to do it, and she became ill. But
We brought in Diana Krall.
yes.
I think one of the really fun artists that we've had over the years has been Al Green. Because
Okay,
Reverend
yes,
Al was
Reverend Al.
between gospel and jazz and rhythm and
Contemporary,
blues.
yes.
And then we've also brought in many artists who are no longer with us. Lou Rawls was
Yes.
a long-standing performer at our jazz festival. And so we can look back over the years. Miles Davis.
Okay.
When I first came, Ella Fitzgerald was the opening act in 1992. And I was amazed because when they told me when I became president, we have a wonderful history here, we have a jazz fest, I thought, isn't that nice? They probably have a little weekend of jazz.
Jazz, yes.
And Ella was the opening act.
Wow.
So that's what's just the history and the tradition has been incredible.
And so we want our community to be on the lookout for next year's edition of the Tri-C Jazz Fest and the years beyond. Don't stop with next year, because people like Beth and Dr. Thornton are really working hard to keep this vibrant program alive in our community. Now, if people want to find out more information about the Tri-C Jazz Fest, what are the phone numbers, websites, emails that they can contact your department and get more information?
Well, our website has a lot of great information about the Tri-C Jazz Fest and its history, but it also has information about a lot of the other arts programming that we do here at Tri-C. The Jazz Fest is kind of the kind of the gem. You know, it's maybe the crown jewel. We do great arts programming all throughout the year, and that website is TriCPresents.com.
You could tell it to the camera.
It's TriCPresents.com. No spaces, no dashes.
And that's T-R-I. Do you need
C.
capital letters?
Nope.
No, just T-R-I-C.
TriCPresents.